To her, he looked like a beggar, but what she found was sacrifice. Love and a hero no one knew existed. She gave him food, thinking he was just a beggar, but what hid behind his broken wheelchair would change her life forever. Maria was a single mother. She worked at a small diner on the corner of 5th Street. The diner wasn't fancy. The paint was peeling off the walls, the chairs were old and wobbly, but it was home every day. Maria served food to hungry people. She poured coffee with a smile. She cleaned tables until her back ached. She washed dishes until her hands turned red every night. She went home to her son, Lucas. Lucas was only 7 years old. He had big brown eyes that sparkled like stars. He had a smile that could light up the darkest room, and he had a heart full of questions. "Mama, why do we live in a small apartment?" He would ask. "Mama, why don't I have a papa like other kids? Mama, why do you work so much?" Maria would hug him tight and kiss his forehead. "Because I love you," she would say, "and love is all we need." But inside, her heart was breaking. Her husband left them 3 years ago. One day he was there, the next day he was gone. No goodbye, no explanation, no phone call, just gone. Maria never heard from him again. She didn't know if he was alive or dead. She didn't know if he thought about Lucas. She didn't know if he remembered the family he left behind, but she couldn't waste time being sad. She had a son to raise, a son who needed food, clothes, and a future. So Maria worked. She worked 12 hours every day, sometimes 14, sometimes 16. Her feet hurt, her shoulders ached, her eyes were always tired, but she never complained because Lucas was her world, her reason to wake up every morning, her reason to keep fighting. One cold evening in November, something strange happened. Maria was cleaning the kitchen after closing time. The diner was empty. The streets outside were dark. Suddenly, she heard a knock. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the back door. Maria walked over and opened it slowly. There, sitting in an old, rusty wheelchair, was a man. He looked like he was in his 40s. His clothes were torn and covered in dirt. His face was hidden behind a long, messy beard. His hands were shaking from the cold. His eyes looked empty, like he had seen too much pain. "Please," he said softly. His voice was weak. "Do you have any leftovers?" Maria's heart sank. She had seen many homeless people before. She had given food to many beggars, but something about this man was different. He didn't look angry or demanding. He looked defeated, like life had crushed him into pieces. Maria felt a strange pull in her chest. "Wait here," she said gently. She went back inside and looked around the kitchen. There was some rice left in a pot, half a loaf of bread, some chicken that nobody ordered, a few vegetables. She packed everything into a plastic bag. She even added a bottle of water when she came back. The man was still waiting. His head was down. His hands were folded. Maria handed him the bag. The man looked up at her for a moment. Their eyes met, and Maria felt something strange, something she couldn't explain. The man took the bag with both hands. He held it like it was the most precious thing in the world. "Thank you," he whispered. Tears filled his eyes. "God bless you." Then he turned his wheelchair around and rolled away into the darkness. Maria stood there, watching him disappear. She didn't know why, but her heart felt heavy. Who was he? Where did he go? Did he have a family? Why was he in that wheelchair? The question stayed with her all night. The next evening, he came again, same time, same place, same knock, tap, tap. Maria opened the door. "Any leftovers?" he asked quietly. She gave him food again, and the next day, he came again and again and again for 2 weeks straight. The man came to the back door every evening. He never asked for money. He never asked for anything extra, only leftovers, only what was left behind. Maria started preparing extra food. She made sure there was something warm every night, rice, soup, bread, sometimes even meat. Her co-workers noticed. "Why do you care so much about that beggar, Jenny?" the waitress asked one day. "He's just using you," Mark, the cook, added. "Tomorrow he'll ask for money." But Maria shook her head. "He's not like that," she said. "I can feel it." "Feel what?" Jenny laughed. "That he's special?" Maria didn't answer because she didn't know how to explain it. There was something about this man, something that made her care, something that made her want to help. Maybe it was his sad eyes. Maybe it was the way he said thank you, like he meant it. Maybe it was the way he never asked for more than he needed. Or maybe it was something else, something deeper, something Maria couldn't name. 2 weeks became 3 weeks, became 4 every single night. The man came in every single night. Maria gave him food, but her curiosity was eating her alive. Who was this man? Where did he live? What was his story? Why was he paralyzed? And most importantly, what did he do with all that food? One night, Maria couldn't take it anymore. She was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Lucas was asleep beside her, but Maria's mind was racing. She made a decision tomorrow. She would follow him. She had to know the truth. The next evening, Maria's heart was pounding all day. She kept looking at the clock. Finally, closing time arrived. She packed the food as usual. Then she waited by the back door. Tap, tap. There he was. Good evening, Maria said, handing him the bag. Thank you, he whispered. Like always, he turned his wheelchair and started rolling away. Maria counted to 10. Then she grabbed her coat and quietly followed him. She kept her distance. She walked in the shadows. She made sure he didn't see her. The man rolled his wheelchair through the empty streets. He turned left onto Baker Street, then right onto 3rd Avenue, then into a narrow, dark alley. Maria's heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. What was she doing? Why was she following a stranger in the dark? But something inside her said, keep going, you need to see this. The man stopped near an old, abandoned building. The windows were broken. The walls were covered in graffiti. It looked like no one had lived there in years. The man rolled up to a side door and pushed it open. He went inside. Maria hid behind a garbage bin and waited. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes, 3. Finally, she moved closer. She walked carefully, making no sound. She found a broken window on the side of the building. Slowly, she peeked inside, and what she saw made her breath stop. Inside the building, there were children, not 1, not 2, 7 children. They were sitting on the cold floor. Their clothes were torn and dirty. Their faces were thin and pale. Their eyes were tired. They looked like they hadn't eaten in days. And the man, the paralyzed man in the wheelchair, he was opening the bag Maria had given him. His hands were shaking as he pulled out the food. He divided everything into small portions. 1 handful of rice for the first child, another handful for the second, a piece of bread for the third, a small piece of chicken for the fourth. He made sure every child got something, even if it was just a little. Even if it wasn't enough, the children ate like they were starving. They didn't talk. They didn't laugh. They just ate in their faces. Their faces showed so much pain, so much hunger, so much sadness. Maria's eyes filled with tears. Her hands covered her mouth. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to run inside and hug them all, but she stayed frozen, watching. One of the children, a little girl with big eyes, looked up at the man. Uncle, she said softly, you didn't eat, take some. The man smiled and touched her dirty hair gently. I already ate. He lied. You eat, you need it. But Maria saw the truth. He was lying. He hadn't eaten. He was starving, and he was giving every single bite to them. Maria's tears fell silently. Her heart was breaking into 1,000 pieces. This man, this poor, paralyzed man who had nothing, was giving everything. Maria couldn't sleep that night. She kept seeing their faces, the children, the man, the empty room. The next morning, she went to the neighborhood. She asked people about the man. Most people ignored her, but finally, an old woman sitting on a bench spoke. You mean David? The woman asked. David? Maria repeated. Is that his name? The old woman nodded. Yes, David Martinez, poor soul. What happened to him? Maria asked desperately. The old woman sighed deeply. 3 years ago. David was a construction worker, strong man, big muscles, always smiling. He had a wife and a daughter. Maria's heart sank. What happened? There was an accident, the woman said quietly. A building collapsed. David was inside. He saved 5 men. That they pulled them out with his bare hands, but then a steel beam fell on him, crushed his spine. Doctors said he would never walk again. Maria felt tears coming again. And his family. The old woman's face became even sadder. His wife couldn't handle it. She left him, took their daughter, and disappeared. David lost everything. His legs, his family, his job, his home. Everything. And the children? Maria asked. Who are they? Orphans. The woman said, street kids. Some lost their parents in accidents. Some were abandoned. Some ran away from bad homes. David found them one by one. He couldn't just leave them on the streets. So he took them in. He became their father, their protector. But how does he feed them? Maria asked. He has no money. The woman shook her head. He begs. He goes to restaurants and asks for leftovers. He collects bottles and cans to sell. He does whatever he can, but it's never enough. Those children are always hungry. And David, he's getting sicker every day. I don't know how much longer he can survive. Maria felt like someone had punched her in the chest. This man was a hero, a real hero, and the world had forgotten. Maria couldn't sit still. She had to do something. That very day, she went to her boss at the diner. His name was Mr. Chun. He was a kind old man. "I need to talk to you." Maria said she told him everything about David, about the children, about the empty building. Mr. Chun listened carefully. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. "All right," he said, "from now on, pack all the leftover food every night. Give it to him. I'll make sure. There's always something extra." Maria's eyes lit up with hope. "Thank you," she whispered, but she didn't stop there. She took out her phone and posted David's story on social media. She wrote about his sacrifice, his love, his pain. She posted pictures of the abandoned building. She asked people to help. At first, nothing happened. Her post got a few likes, a few comments, but then, slowly, something amazing started. People began sharing her post. One person shared it, then 10, then 100, then thousands. The story went viral. Messages started flooding in. "Where can I send help? I want to donate food. Can I bring clothes for the children? I'm a doctor. I can help for free." Maria couldn't believe it. The whole city was waking up. Within 3 days, everything changed. People came to the abandoned building with bags of food, boxes of clothes, blankets, toys, medicine. A local bakery started sending fresh bread every morning. A grocery store donated rice and vegetables every week. A group of volunteers came to clean the building. A doctor came and examined all the children. David sat in his wheelchair, crying. He couldn't believe what was happening. Why? He kept asking, "Why are people helping us?" Maria knelt down beside him and held his hand. "Because you're a hero," she said, "and heroes deserve help too." David shook his head. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a broken man trying to survive." "No," Maria said firmly, "you're a man who chose love over hate, hope over despair. You gave everything for children who weren't even yours. That's what a hero does." David cried like a child for the first time in 3 years. He felt hope. A week later, a man in a suit came to the building. His name was Mr. Roberts. He worked for a charity organization called Second Chances. "We've heard your story," he said to David, "and we want to help." "How?" David asked. "We can take these children to a proper shelter," Mr. Roberts explained. "They'll have beds, clean clothes, 3 meals a day. They'll go to school. They'll have a future." David looked at the children. They were playing in the corner, laughing for the first time in months. His heart felt torn. He wanted them to have a better life, but he didn't want to lose them. "Will they be safe?" he asked quietly. "I promise," Mr. Roberts said. David nodded slowly. "Okay," he whispered. But then something happened. The children heard the conversation. The little girl ran to David and grabbed his wheelchair. "No!" she screamed. "We're not going without Uncle David." The other children rushed over. "We won't leave him," a boy shouted. "He's our family." Another cried. They all held on to David's wheelchair. Crying, David tried to smile through his tears. "It's okay," he said. "You'll have a better life. You'll be happy. We're only happy with you." The little girl sobbed. Mr. Roberts watched the scene. His own eyes became wet. He cleared his throat. "Then he comes too," he said. Everyone looked at him. "What?" David whispered. "You heard me," Mr. Roberts said with a smile. "We'll take care of all of you. Together as a family." David couldn't speak. He just cried and cried and cried. 2 months passed. Everything changed. The children were now living in a beautiful shelter. They had warm beds, new clothes, full bellies. They went to school every day. They learned to read and write. They learned to dream again. And David, the charity organization, paid for his medical treatment. Doctors examined him. Physical therapists worked with him every day. And slowly, miracle by miracle, David started moving his legs again. Not much, just a little, but it was enough to give him hope. Maria visited them every week. She brought Lucas with her. Lucas became best friends with the children. They played together, studied together, laughed together. One Saturday afternoon, Maria was sitting with David in the garden. The children were playing soccer nearby. David turned to Maria. "I need to tell you something," he said seriously. Maria looked at him. "What is it?" David took a deep breath. His hands were shaking. 3 years ago, I worked on a construction site downtown. Maria listened carefully. There was a woman who used to come every day at lunchtime. She brought food for her husband. She had a little boy with her. I remember. Then Maria's heart started Beating faster, I worked in construction. She whispered, my husband. I know. David interrupted gently. I remember you, I remember Lucas, and I remember your husband. Maria's eyes went wide. You knew him? David nodded, tears streaming down his face. The day of the accident when the building started collapsing, I tried to save. Everyone I pulled out 5 men, but your husband, he was trapped under concrete. I tried to reach him, I tried so hard, but the building came down too fast, I couldn't save him, and then the beam fell on me. Maria's world stopped, her hands covered her mouth. You were there? She whispered, I'm so sorry. David sobbed. I tried, I really tried, but I failed. I've lived with that guilt every single day. When I saw you at the diner, I couldn't say anything, I was too ashamed. Maria was crying now. She moved closer to David and hugged him tightly. It wasn't your fault. She said through her tears, you tried to save him, you risked your life, you're a hero. My husband would be proud of you, I'm proud of you. David cried on her shoulder. I don't deserve your kindness, he said. Yes, you do, Maria said firmly. You saved 5 men that day. You've been saving these children every day since. You're the bravest person I know. They held each other and cried for the pain they had both carried, for the guilt that wasn't theirs to bear, for the love that still existed in a broken world. 6 months passed like a beautiful dream. David was walking now, not perfectly. He still needed a cane, but he was walking. The children were thriving. They were healthy, happy, hopeful. 3 of them were at the top of their class. One discovered she loved painting, other loved singing. They were becoming who they were meant to be. Maria got a promotion. At the diner, she became the assistant manager. More money, better hours, more time with Lucas, and every Sunday they all gathered together. David, Maria, Lucas, the 7 children, one big, beautiful, imperfect family. One Sunday evening, they were all sitting in the shelter's dining room. They had just finished dinner. The children were laughing and telling stories. David looked around at all of them. His heart was so full it could burst. He stood up slowly, leaning on his cane. Everyone became quiet. I want to say something, David said. All eyes turned to him. A year ago, I had nothing. I was broken, empty. I wanted to give up, but then these children came into my life. They gave me a reason to wake up, a reason to fight, a reason to live. The children smiled at him with love, and then Maria came. David continued, looking at her. She saw me when everyone else looked away. She followed me when anyone else would have ignored me. She saved us, all of us. Maria shook her head, tears in her eyes. You saved yourself, she said. No, David said with a smile. We saved each other, because that's what family does. Everyone stood up and hugged. They cried together. They laughed together. They held each other like they would never let go, because they were no longer alone. They were no longer broken. They were home that night after everyone went to bed. Maria stood outside under the stars. She looked up at the sky and smiled. She thought about the paralyzed man who asked for leftovers, the man who gave everything and asked for nothing, the man who taught her that heroes don't wear capes, they wear broken wheelchairs. They carry hungry children in their hearts. They give their last piece of bread to someone who needs it more. Maria closed her eyes and whispered a prayer. Thank you, she said to the universe. Thank you for showing me that one small act of kindness can change everything. A shooting star crossed the sky, and Maria knew love always wins, because at the end of the day, we're not measured by what we have, we're measured by what we give. And the greatest gift of Alice, giving when you have nothing left.